Welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here because we've got a fantastic boardroom-style briefing lined up for you today, diving into the crucial business news update for June 29th, 2026. We're going to start way up high with some serious global intelligence warnings, and then we'll funnel all the way down to the vital daily administrative deadlines that your business literally cannot afford to miss. So let's jump right in.
Here's a quick look at our agenda. 1. AI risks and cyber threats. 2. Shifting EU trade priorities. 3. The truth about NDAs. And 4. SME operations and tax deadlines. Let's get to it.
Starting off with Section 1, AI risks and cyber threats. And spoiler alert, this is absolutely a boardroom issue now. Right, so let's start at the very top. The data is telling us loudly and clearly that cybersecurity is no longer just a problem for your IT department. It has officially moved straight into the boardroom. Just listen to this incredibly stark warning from the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance. They explicitly state, and I'm quoting here, cyber risk can no longer be treated as a purely technical issue. This is a core business risk and leadership responsibility. Now, for context, this alliance includes UK intelligence via GCHQ, alongside the US, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. And they've issued this rare public warning, basically telling business leaders that engineered, supercharged hacking tools, once designed by existing AI models, are literally only months away. So businesses have got to prepare for an onslaught of highly sophisticated attacks right now. And we are already seeing these intelligence warnings translate into real-world action. It's a real domino effect. For instance, the US government just ordered Anthropic to block foreign nationals from accessing its most sophisticated AI models, outright labeling the export of that tech a security risk. Meanwhile, here in the UK, the National Cybersecurity Center is sounding the alarm that Fortinet firewalls and VPN gateways are actively being targeted in a massive global campaign. They're seeing severe credential stuffing, which is basically where attackers take stolen passwords from one service and use them to breach another. So, if your organization uses Fortinet Edge devices with SSL VPN enabled, the NSCSC is urging you to monitor your network for unusual activity immediately. Seriously, do not wait on this. Now, to put the sheer scale of this AI shift into perspective, I want you to think about one truly staggering number: 21,000. That is exactly how many jobs the software giant Oracle cut last year. But here's the kicker, and why it matters to our discussion today. Oracle isn't hiding behind those standard corporate euphemisms like streamlining or finding synergies. No, buried right in their annual report, they explicitly cited that these 13% global workforce cuts were directly due to implementing AI systems across their operations. The firm literally set aside a massive £1.36 billion in severance and restructuring costs last year alone. AI automation is fundamentally reshaping legacy tech giants from the inside out. But, of course, deploying internal AI creates its own set of massive corporate risks. Just contrast Meta's intentions with their actual reality here. Meta rolled out this Model Capability Initiative trial, right? The intention was to gather employees' keystrokes and mouse movements to train their AI models. Well, the reality was a disaster. Just 2 months in, they had to pull the plug entirely because the system was leaking sensitive personnel data to literally anyone on the network. Over 2,000 employees actually signed a petition over privacy concerns, but it still took a massive internal data exposure for the company to finally suspend it. It is the perfect cautionary tale about the rush to implement internal AI tracking without locking down the safeguards. Moving right along to Section 2, shifting EU trade priorities. We're seeing some really fascinating evolving sentiment here. As we just passed the 10th anniversary of the Brexit vote, data from the Institute of Directors shows a huge shift in perspective. When business leaders were asked about their absolute top trading priority for the government, 52% pointed straight back to the European Union. That's a massive jump from just 35% back in April of last year. But what's equally wild is how the U.S. is viewed now. Support for prioritizing the U.S. as a trading partner has absolutely plummeted, down to a mere 2% compared to 10% last year. According to the IOD, this reflects a growing underlying recognition of just how vital the EU market remains for UK businesses. But to really understand this, we have to look at the nuance behind this sentiment. 63% of respondents are backing the government pursuing closer regulatory alignment with the EU. Why? Well, because 64% of business leaders feel that closer alignment to EU legislation would have a direct positive effect on the UK economy. But, and this is a really crucial but, 3/4 of those exact same respondents also agreed it's essential that the UK retains its sovereignty to shape its own regulations. Basically, they want the economic benefits of alignment, but absolutely do not want to lose legislative control. Now, despite this strong momentum and eager business sentiment for closer ties, political timing has completely thrown a wrench in the works. The highly anticipated UK-EU summit, which was supposed to redraw post-Brexit relations on July 22nd, has been completely shelved. European Council President Antonio Costa officially hit pause on the meeting so the EU can just wait and work directly with the UK Prime Minister's successor. So businesses might be ready to hit the gas, but politically, we're stuck in a holding pattern. Okay, Section 3, the truth about NDAs and what this actually means for workplace privacy. Let's bring things back inside the walls of your own business for a second to clear up some recent press confusion surrounding workplace confidentiality. First, let's establish a quick baseline with ACAS, the Advisory, Conciliation, and Arbitration Service. By definition, a non-disclosure agreement, or NDA, is simply a legally binding contract. That's it. They are entirely standard when someone starts a new job, used to protect legitimate business interests and confidential info. Or they're used when a job ends, perhaps after a dispute, to keep the circumstances and financial settlement terms confidential. When they're used properly, they are fully enforceable. Breaching them can and will lead to court action and compensation. But here is exactly where employers get themselves into deep trouble. It's all about the contrast between valid and void. An NDA becomes completely, legally void if a company attempts to use it to cover up workplace harassment, discrimination, or any criminal activities. No exceptions. Furthermore, you literally cannot silence a whistleblower. If an employee reports wrongdoing at work that affects the public, which is known legally as making a disclosure in the public interest, or even if they just discuss their pay to ensure equal pay rights, an NDA absolutely cannot stop them. Having a crystal clear understanding of this boundary is vital for your HR compliance. Finally, we arrive at Section 4, SME operations and tax deadlines. Let's talk operations and compliance.
We're going to funnel all the way down to the micro level now, the immediate operational opportunities and strict administrative deadlines your SME is facing today. And let's actually start with some really exciting news. Historically, TV advertising has been completely dominated by deep-pocketed multinational corporations, right? Well, Comcast Universal Ads has just launched here in the UK, partnering with Channel 4, ITV, and Sky. It's basically a self-service platform built on the same model as social media advertising. You just select your budget, choose an audience, upload your creative, and you can literally go live in minutes. It completely strips out the need for those expensive advertising agencies and finally opens up premium TV media directly to much smaller budgets, a real game changer for SMEs.
Now shifting to a very serious administrative warning. HMRC is currently running a heavy-hitting campaign called Don't Get Caught Out. It is squarely aimed at contractors working through umbrella companies. If your business uses these contractors, you absolutely need to have this on your radar. HMRC is urging people to use their tools to verify tax payments because there's been a rampant rise in tax avoidance schemes. They even maintain a list of named avoidance schemes on the Ross Martin tax site. But the absolute most critical takeaway here? Promoters might swear up and down that their umbrella scheme is HMRC approved or claim that top barristers found it compliant. Do not believe them. HMRC explicitly states that they never ever approve such schemes, period. Grab a pen or take a quick note, because these upcoming dates are completely non-negotiable. July is a massively heavy month for tax compliance. First up, July 5th is your strict deadline to apply for a PAE settlement agreement for the 2025-26 tax year. Right after that, July 6th is the reporting deadline for P11D and P11DB expenses and benefits in kind. And the electronic payments for those, they must reach HMRC by July 22nd. Now, looking a bit further ahead, take note that starting in April 2026, contractors under the Construction Industry Scheme, or CIS, are legally obliged to file a return every single month. And yes, that includes a nil return even when absolutely no subcontractors were used. Just one last regulatory note tied to that April 2026 date. Tucked away in the 2025 budget were some major changes to voluntary national insurance contributions. Starting April 6, 2026, the option to pay voluntary Class 2 NICs for periods abroad is being removed entirely. Gone. Furthermore, if you want to apply to pay voluntary Class 3 NICs while you're abroad, you are now going to need either 10 full years of continuous UK residency, or you must have already paid at least 10 years of NICs. And that brings us to the end of today's briefing. We've covered a lot of ground today, right? We went from the massive Five Eyes warning about supercharged AI hacks through shifting sentiments on EU trade, all the way down to your pressing July P11D tax deadlines. So I want to leave you with one final provocative question. Is your business truly prepared for tomorrow's AI and regulatory shifts? Take a hard look at your internal systems, talk to your leadership team about your cybersecurity posture, and definitely make sure those tax filings are locked in. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Stay focused out there, and I will see you next time.